Episode 2, take 1, action.
Hello guys, welcome back. I know it's been a couple months, but there's so many things that had happened in those months. And we just wanted to go again into the process and what it's like to actually go to Colombia and just, the experience, how we felt, like the emotions that we got through, the frustrations. There was plenty of those. But we just wanted to show you because I know we promised you we're gonna get involved in all these things, but we just been busy.
We've been very busy. And honestly, it's kind of hard talking about it too. Sometimes it gets a little emotional. So I think enough time has passed that hopefully we'll be able to talk about everything that's going on.
That's right, Kyle.
Okay, so far in the first episode, we talked about kind of a lot of the preparation work that we had to do before getting to Colombia, just with finding the surrogate and finding the doctor and the clinic and the lawyers and all that kind of stuff. So let's go into what that process was like actually getting to Colombia and arriving there and getting everything going.
First thing we did, we found an accommodation in a good part of Bogota.
Do you remember what it's called? Where we stayed?
Chico. Yeah.
We stayed in Chico. It's kind of like the nicer, almost kind of bougie area. I mean, nothing's that bougie, but definitely I highly recommend it. Near a lot of the clinics, but also very safe, dog parks. So for me, being an American going into Colombia, I'd been in Colombia one other time, but not in Bogota. And so being an American kind of arriving there for the first time, I was actually really surprised as to how developed, how developed Colombia was, at least this part of Colombia,
We don't just live in forests.
Yeah, it's not all the Amazon, right? But yeah, it's very metropolitan, very safe where we were staying in Bogota. So recommend the area, the neighborhood called Chico, right? Chico, right? Chico, because not all neighborhoods are quite as nice. But yeah, really nice dog park. We brought our dog with us, which was really fun.
The first thing that we had to do is find an accommodation that was safer, but also that was close to the clinics. We didn't have to commute a long time. In Bogota, traffic can be bad sometimes. It can take hours if you're too far. So you definitely want to be closer to the clinic. You gotta look in an Airbnb that is in a good area, but also close to the clinic. You don't want to just be driving all that time.
And you can get a taxi very easily, very cheap. There's apps you can use just like the United States, similar to Uber.
Called InDriver.
InDriver.
Well, this is not a promotion. It's actually a lot cheaper to get around with InDriver. You want to definitely be using that app. Is just easier, and you can actually beat like how much money you're willing to pay. So after a couple days, you're probably gonna notice the price that they should be charging you, especially as a tourist. You want to make sure that you're paying the fair price. You don't want to just jump into a taxi and just, you know how it can get in some countries sometimes.
A couple other things you might want to consider is there's also another app called Rappi. So it's kind of like Uber Eats or, whatever. They'll like deliver it to you, right? Which is really awesome. They'll deliver pretty much anything at any time of the day. We arrived in Bogota in our Airbnb at like 11:30 at night, maybe midnight, and they delivered us dinner right to our door for maybe $5 for our whole meal for both of us. So it was really kind of amazing. So
the good thing about Bogota too is a very developed city. It's over 10 million people there. So kind of like the same size as New York City if you think about it. So many things open 24/7. You have services, great food. You have nice restaurants for very cheap. So definitely, while you're waiting to this process, it's not gonna be a hard wait.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be.
You can live it up, almost like you're definitely living it up there.
The good thing about Colombia though is that it is a developing country still, but it's so cheap, right? So you can still get the good amenities. You can still go to nice restaurants. I know sometimes when you go to developing countries, you kind of have to sacrifice those good amenities for those prices.
Cheap prices. Yeah. But not in Colombia.
But in Colombia, you really get to have the good experience. It was a great experience just flying there, very direct flight. We were flying from LA, so it took about 6 hours to get there. We got there and then immediately went to our Airbnb, got a taxi. Taxi is about, it's about $20, right? Like 15, $20 from the airport. It's a little bit higher because you're coming from the airport and then you don't have the internet yet in your phone to be able to order a service. We got to our Airbnb, it was very nice.
How much is like a normal taxi, just like around town, stuff like that?
For the clinic, we were like 10 probably 15 minutes.
15 minutes to drive, yeah. Like
Drive.
a 15-minute taxi ride.
That's like 10,000 pesos, which is $2.
Like $1.50, $2, yeah.
$2, yeah.
At the time we're recording this, it's about 4,000 pesos per US dollar.
So it's about $2 to get to the clinic every day. So we got to Airbnb, very beautiful Airbnb. We have two bedrooms. We have a kitchen, beautiful beautiful space, and that's only I believe $50 a night. So it's very cheap because we basically put everything in our storage unit here. And we're living in a good apartment there for a couple months. Okay, so we got to the clinic, and
which was very clean, by the way, very nice. I was a little nervous. Hako was talking about Colombia and the medical system there, and he's doing all this research, and apparently their medical system there is graded better than even the United States. And so I was like, okay, I'm optimistic. But then when I showed up to the clinic, I was like, wow, it's a really nice building. Everything was beautiful and really nice, and just like a beautiful, beautiful clinic.
So we got there, and honestly, it was like about 2 weeks for us to get an appointment because they were on vacation in December. Most clinics do close in December, so you kind of have that window, right? So once we got there, it was kind of a hassle though to get them to get us an appointment. You really have to be very good at following up with these clinics because different culture, different mindset for sure.
Much more like
Even though we still haven't paid them any single dollar yet, it was still difficult to get an appointment. It's still very difficult to get an appointment. So I remember just texting them like every single day, like, hey, we're here in Colombia already. Like, when is our appointment? Come on, let's make it happen. They finally got us an appointment about like a week and a half later, right? So maybe you want to pre-plan that, text them, make sure that you have a date.
You feeling nervous?
Kind of, the whole process has been like this.
Yeah, but at least we're finally here, finally starting it. We've been in Colombia for a week. We're having our first meeting now.
Finally.
So it's much cheaper to get it done in Colombia.
You just gotta
you have to have some patience.
Yeah, it's not the same. People don't work as fast, so you have to follow up a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely more laid back mentality for sure. So you gotta be kind of persistent.
Once we had the appointment, it was pretty simple. But I did notice though for the clinic is a little bit more disorganized, right? You wanna have like when you get there, I remember for our personal experience, obviously that's not gonna be the case for everyone, but we got-
You might be at a different clinic than we were at.
Yeah, we're talking about our specific one, kind of had to follow up on everything. And we're like, okay, like we got there and like, okay, cool, welcome. And then I was like, okay, aren't we supposed to do like-
Don't you need to test my
your sperm, right? Like the donor's
Yeah.
eggs, right? All these things that were important.
Thankfully, we knew we had to do this because we just did a lot of our own research, but otherwise they would have just, I don't know when they would have done it.
Yeah, thankfully we met like with 5 doctors before, so we kind of knew kind of the process how it went, and I was like, well, I think we need to do this now.
Yeah, in Colombia, there just doesn't seem to be a big rush to pretty much anything. So you really, if you have a certain time limit, you kind of have to be on top of it.
Unless you're in an agency, I don't know how will that work. Maybe they will take care of all that for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We were doing it ourselves, so yeah.
We finally get our appointment, we go into the clinic, and there's several different steps that we kind of had to go through. One of the things that I remember we had to do was a psychological test, just making sure that we were, I guess, like,
capable
I guess so. Not crazy, yeah. Well, some of us. No, just kidding. So they had to do a psychology test. It was very random. I didn't understand anything as far as like, how is this relevant at all? Like having us draw pictures and things like that. I don't know, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist. Whoever is donating the sperm definitely have to, do a sample, making sure that your sperm is, you're fertile and all that kind of a thing.
So we had to do a couple things. We have to test the sperm, do a blood test. Also for the donor, they have to text her, make sure that they do a lab work, that she doesn't have any STDs, things like that can be passed on. Also making sure that she's in a good physical condition to be able to donate.
Most clinics have egg donors and surrogates. We personally, again, wanted to do everything ourselves. And so because we wanted to make sure we knew who the egg donor was. If in Colombia, I think we mentioned this in the first video, if you use one of their egg donors, it is anonymous. You don't even get to see a picture or anything like that of the mother or any of their health background. You really get no information about them. So we did not want to do that. So You can provide your own egg donor if you have someone, of course, that loves you enough and willing to do that for you, because it is a huge ask. You know, they have to go to Colombia. She had to, you know, do several shots in her stomach like every single day with hormones and things like that. It's a surgical procedure that, you know, she has to go under, and for them to retrieve the eggs. You know, if someone's willing to do that for you, I mean, they have to really, really, really love you a lot. Thankfully, you know, we had blessed to have that.
So, so yeah, not all clinics have surrogates. Most clinics do have an egg donor for surrogacy. It's kind of difficult to find actually clinics that provide surrogates to you. And if they do, it's obviously at a premium, right, for them. So we have to line up everything. So we have to line up the sperm donor, which is Kyle, line up our egg donor, right? We also have to line up the surrogate to make sure that she was going to the clinic, also getting tested, also getting all those procedures for her to make sure that
the medications she needed,
the medication, that her uterus is good, that her blood test, also she doesn't have any STDs, all these things. So you have to line all those things up the first week or so, making sure that the eggs have enough time to develop into an embryo. Also in that stage, you want to make sure that the surrogate is already ready to do that transfer. So that first week, you want to make sure that all of these things are lined up.
So your surrogate does have to have already had children before and have given live birth before, and also has to be someone that no longer wants to have kids of their own. So those are just, you know, some things that could really help a lot with removing any sort of conflict.
And I would say though too, the clinics are very strict about who they let be a surrogate. So even though we provide our own surrogate, they did psychological tests, they call them video calls, make sure that they show their home, that they show their surrender, their spouse, right? To make sure their kids, to make sure that they're good and they also not gonna get attached, right, to the kids. So that is something that is provided by the clinic with the fee that you pay. Also, all these texts that we're talking about, they're not added, they're provided with the whole package. Once you talk to them, they offer you a package, and all those tests. It's not like in the United States, which you have to pay separately for all these tests, and it ends up being a lot more. In Colombia, which is everything is in there. So even for the sperm, even though you can do it here, it's a lot cheaper just to do it with the whole package.
We didn't do a package with an agency, we just did the package with directly to the clinic. What's really great about that is it obviously saved a lot of money, but also they will do as many transfers as we need to do until we're pregnant. So they basically, you know, guarantee as much as they can guarantee, you know, pregnancy. So even if the first transfer doesn't end up working, you know, they'll just keep trying until they do, without having to do an extra cost every time, which is really nice.
Yeah, with that specific clinic. So that happened. Kyle did his test for his sperm. It was very good.
It was awesome.
Yeah, how was the experience of donating?
It was fine. Very clinical. You know, I went in there and thought about my beautiful fiance, you know, and his beautiful face, and released my children into the world / a cup.
Yeah, for sure. Basically, that happens with the sperm, also the egg donor. We were very lucky to have an egg donor that donated a lot of eggs, very fertile. It's about 34 eggs that they were able to extract.
Which is a lot.
Usually egg donors just donate around 11 to 12 in a good one, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Very fertile.
Very, very good. But like Kyle mentioned, if you're getting your own egg donor, it is something that they have to take injections in their stomach every single day, morning and afternoon, to be able to do that for about 2 weeks. So when it goes to that, it's a very quick procedure, and then that's pretty much it, right? So basically what we had to do from there is...
Wait, they had to germinate, right? Or whatever, they had to fertilize it.
They had to fertilize it, right?
Yeah, so they didn't fertilize all of the eggs. They just did some of them for us because they don't want to waste them.
Too much.
Yeah, they don't want to make too many embryos, right? That we're only having one baby right now. So they took a sample of the sperm, took a sample of the egg or portion of the eggs, and they fertilized them. And then from that, basically we had to wait about 5 days for the embryos to start growing. But then from there, they actually took samples and sent them off for testing. They tested for a bunch of different, you know, genetic disorders and diseases and things like that, making sure that you're going to get the best embryos possible. They actually, from that, also can determine the gender of the embryos, which is amazing. And so once they got all those results back from the amount of eggs that they fertilized, we ended up having 3 embryos right?
We ended up having four.
Four.
Yeah, we ended up having 4 reliable embryos. 2 of them were good, right? So 2 that were determined that were good, that were a boy and a
Top
girl,
grade,
right?
healthy boy
And there
girl.
were 2 that were undetermined, that they couldn't really find out if they're actually healthy or not. So basically we had 2 embryos.
2, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And so basically we got those all back, those results, and it was time to do our transfer.
Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you like this, and then we hope to see you soon.
We promise video 3 will be up much faster than video 2 was.
Bye guys.